Have you sat back and thought about how many goals Manchester United would have scored in the past couple of games had some of the forwards been clinical enough? Well, key weakness. Welcome to the United Hotspot. My name is Webb. I'm here to talk about some of the major weaknesses of this team. Well, we can call out the manager, Eric Ten Hag, for his weaknesses, and there are quite many. Of course, we can also generalize the players, say this one is lazy, Rashford is lazy, this one has a bad attitude. But there are weaknesses we need to call out by name for them to be clearly seen. One of them is that our forwards, honestly, are not so clinical, are not as clinical as they should be, as you would expect for a player playing at this level. I've been thinking about just the game against Burnley, the Sheffield game. Bruno could have had about 4 or 5 assists in those two games. But some of these forwards, from Højlund himself to Garnacho, were not as clinical as they should be. That's weakness number one that has got to be improved on. And this now goes to the players. I don't think the manager is going to teach them how to be clinical. Being clinical is about you, it's about what you do in practice. Players back then in the years of Sir Alex Ferguson, players like Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney would stay behind and work on certain things over and over and over again in training. These players probably, by the time training is done, everyone wants to get into their car and drive home. Guys, that is a key weakness, and players have got to take the responsibility and improve on it. They have got to be clinical. Number two, and by the way, you might say, yes, being clinical does not change the fact that Eric Ten Hag gets the tactics wrong at times. But you see, if they were clinical, United would be winning games by, say, 6 goals to 2 or 5 goals to 1 because they would concede but score more. So the battle for United now is to be scoring many goals because they need goals. Where they are headed, if United is going to have Europe next season, it might go down to goals. And if you look at the goal difference of United, it's so terrible. It's extremely terrible. Just a goal difference of one goal is what United has. It goes down to the strikers. And Eric Ten Hag has been talking about how he feels his team has been entertaining, one of the most entertaining teams in the season. Well, depends on how he defines entertaining. But they have tried to create chances, really. They have tried to create a few chances in moments, perhaps not consistently, but in moments. So the forwards have got to be clinical if United is going to perform to the level it expected out of them in at least the next remaining games. That's one key thing. Two, the other key weakness of this Manchester United team is individual errors. Players lose concentration, and I think these errors go down to concentration. Look at a player experienced as Casemiro. The mistake he made trying to head the ball back to Andre Onana. And Onana probably did not expect it, but there were a forest of bodies, so many bodies around the ball, and the obvious, easier thing to do would have been for Casemiro to head the ball away, either for a corner or a goal kick. But being overconfident is bad, but also losing concentration because with his experience, Casemiro should have noticed that there is no way it was going to be a battle for that ball the moment he tried to head it to Andre Onana. And poor guy who had had a brilliant game, arguably for me the best player of the match, man of the match, he was forced into an error, comes out to try and head it and punch it away, ends up punching the head of an opponent. And guess what? These referees who don't spare Man United just had to point to the spot. So individual errors are another big problem at Manchester United. It's another big weakness. Individuals, even the so-called senior players, are not taking initiative, are playing like their senior players, are not taking enough responsibility. And that's extremely dangerous because, man, if the senior players are not performing, who is expected to perform? The youngsters, they also will try and do so much, but they will feel like, we're little, we are young. They know they are young. They will hide under the big players because even the big players are not doing their part anyway. So those individual errors from senior players to everyone have spread into everyone now. That, I mean, you look at the whole squad and you're thinking, who is good enough besides the hardworking Bruno, besides the skillful Kobe? Even Kobe's levels seem to be going down now from the last game, if you judge by that. I mean, it's not good. So that's another key problem at Manchester United. Another weakness at Manchester United is it looks like the players forget that they are playing in a direct league, so they lose the balance and shape so easily, especially when they don't have the ball. Whenever United goes into the attack, when they lose the ball, they are they are not, they don't balance, they are out of shape, they are completely, they leave acres of space in the middle that are so easy to penetrate and punish them. So, and it has been a consistent problem that I wonder, doesn't Eric Ten Hag, don't the managers, the coaches, don't they see it? Don't, can't they find so? Is it too hard to find a solution for that? Because United might, Eric Ten Hag will come out of the game, the press conferences, and talk about how his team is improving in the attack. But you see, you can't improve in the attack, but whenever you lose the ball, you're opening yourself up for punishment, and keep doing that, and you think people will be happy with that, and results will be coming. So another big problem is the lack of the lack of compactness. The team is not compact at all. Without the ball, Manchester United is very penetrable. And that's a weakness both of the manager, mostly of the manager, because the team organizes the team, but also the players. Players like Kobe, the midfielders are always running out of positions. When without the ball, they don't know where to do. And one thing I keep referring to is one of, if not the greatest manager of today, Pep Guardiola, said when he was at Barcelona. I think he made this statement during his first Barcelona, when he orchestrated that unforgettable Barcelona, the unplayable one. He said he doesn't teach these players a lot when they have the ball, because they know what to do with the ball. You don't teach Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, Sergio Busquets what to do with the ball, but what to do without the ball. Very important. When you don't have the ball, what do you do? Because that's when you lose games. You don't lose games when you have the ball. You lose games when you don't have the ball. So what do you do? What movements do you make without the ball? Eric Ten Hag probably, and his coaching staff, probably they don't teach their players what to do without the ball. When they don't have the ball, United are clueless. They are all over the place. They are running around like headless chicken. They have no idea on where to do. They are running into each other. I saw at some point again, and I last seen this so many months ago, Hoyland running into Anthony. I think it was Anthony. They were running into each other. How does that happen at the topmost level? It's gross. It's unacceptable. Players cannot be running into each other at this level. It shows you that they don't have a shape. They have no idea where everyone is supposed to be. They're just chasing the ball. They're just chasing the ball. No wonder they end up punting. A young 18-year-old Kobe who is just made 19, a 19-year-old Kobe will be punting like he's a 70-year-old overweight footballer after 60 minutes, because they are running all over the pitch. They are not playing in zones. They are not controlled in their movements. So that's why they will run into each other. So that's another key problem of this team. Goes down mostly to the manager, probably even the players not understanding what the manager teaches them, probably, or don't want to, they don't believe in what the manager is telling them. It's a concoction of of reasons why that would be so. But the players are certainly out of shape whenever they lose the ball, and that for me is the biggest weakness of this Eric Ten Hag team. He has got to work a lot on that. But surprisingly, every game he's coming out and deploying his players the same way, deploying his players the same way, deploying them the same way. Whether he's good or not, he will deploy them the same way. At times it might work, luckily, but most times it won't. So he has concentrated a lot on scoring more goals than he did in the first quarter of this, in the first half of the season, and neglected not conceding. And you wonder, then what's the point if you score 52 goals and concede 51? What's the point? Your goal difference is one. You're scoring as many as you concede. Then you come out and say, we have improved in the second half of the season. We've scored many goals, if you've noticed. And indeed, they have scored more, but they have conceded so many. So zero is all, literally. You know what I mean? So big key weakness of this Manchester United team. There are other big weakness, and this for me will seal it. The other biggest weakness is the lack of improvement across the team. The team is not improving enough. Eric Ten Hag will tell you they have improved a bit in terms of patterns. Yes, they have improved in such a minute, subtle way in terms of attacking and the patterns going forward. But by and large, if you look back at the issues why United was struggling to win games 6 games or 7 games ago, they are the same issues we will talk about yesterday or last night. The improvement is so subtle. There is literally close to none. It's negligible. There is no improvement in this team. And you wonder what are they working on in training? And Eric Ten Hag can talk about, and we can all see the players perhaps are not doing enough. They're not good enough. But, I mean, are they that bad? How did they end up at Man United if these are players who cannot improve at the minutest thing in football? How are they playing football at that level? So, yeah, they have issues, but maybe the tactics they get are not really also helping them do any better. Just saying. My name is Webb. Those are the key weaknesses I see in this Manchester United team. I hope we find solutions soon. Otherwise, forget about Europe. Subscribe, and I'll catch you later.